Let's keep this momentum going as we move on to the next session. I invite Ms. Sarita Mundra, Director Ujas E-Auto, Founder Surreal Treasure, to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Prachi. Good morning, ladies and few lucky gentlemen. After that powerful and insightful inaugural session, hearing from the legends of the industry, it's my pleasure to open up for the session one of our conclave. But before we dive in, ladies, I would say don't go anywhere. We have lots of surprises, learning, and fun moments lined up to make this day unforgettable for all of you. So, ladies, stay glued to the screen because you don't want to miss a thing. Now, let's start by recognizing someone who was the most eager listener of this session. And for that, may I request AV team to show the winner? Yeah. Congratulations, lady. Kindly contact Miss Seema Arora from IMA team to claim your prize, please. तो दोस्तों, हमारे बीच एक ऐसी शख्सियत मौजूद है जिनके करियर का सफर एक ब्लॉकबस्टर से कम नहीं. यस, मिस ज्योति नारंग, जो ताज के पैलेसेस को ऐसे मैनेज करती थी जैसे अपना महल. 40 साल का एक्सपीरियंस लेकर हॉस्पिटैलिटी, बैंकिंग और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में धूम मचाई है और अब हिडलबर्ग सीमेंट इंडिया की चेयरपर्सन बनके यह सीमेंट के साथ ग्रोथ और सस्टेनेबिलिटी को भी मजबूती से जोड़ रही है. वेलकम मैम टू IMA. अनदर पर्सनैलिटी जिनके करियर को देखकर लगता है कि अगर उन पे वेब सीरीज बनाई जाए तो 10 सीजन तो वैसे ही सुपरहिट हो जाएंगे. जी हाँ, मैं बात कर रही हूँ एक ऐसी वर्सेटाइल शख्सियत की जो आर्ट, कम्युनिकेशन और लिटरेचर का परफेक्ट कॉम्बो लेकर आए हैं. जिनकी जयपुर लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल में शोभा डे से लेकर सलमान रश्दी तक बड़ी बड़ी पर्सनैलिटी आती है, वह आज हमारे साथ है. यस, मिस प्रीता सिंह. May I request Miss Ishani Maheshwari to escort both the speakers on the stage, please. अभी तो हम सफ़र की शुरुआत कर रहे हैं, मंजिल की तरफ हर कदम बढ़ा रहे हैं. सुनेंगे हम वो बातें जो दिलों को छू जाएगी, जो हमें कुछ नया सिखा जाएगी. Moving ahead, may I request Miss Manisha Garg, Trustee Member, Medicaps University Indore, and Miss Swati Jain from Arihant Capital Market Limited to please come on the stage and present memento to our speakers. और हाँ लेडीज़, आज पूरे इवेंट के फ़ोटो खींचकर सोशल मीडिया हैंडल के टैग ज़रूर करिएगा. किसी ने खूब कहा है, आज के ज़माने में यूं ही नहीं मिलती मंजिलें, मेहनत की एक रोशनी जलानी पड़ती है. कुछ कर दिखाने के लिए हर कदम पे फ़ोटो सोशल मीडिया पे टैग करवानी पड़ती है. And without further ado, I would like to request AV team to play the introduction video of our distinguished speakers, Ms. Jyoti Narang and Ms. Preeta Singh.
Jyoti Narang, an exceptional leader and visionary in the corporate world, Ms. Jyoti Narang is the chairperson of Heidelberg Cement India Limited. With over 4 decades of experience, Ms. Narang has carved a niche for herself in various sectors. She began her career with the Tata Group, developing her expertise in marketing and operations. As the former Chief Operating Officer of Taj Palaces Resorts and Safaris, she led the company to attract millions of global visitors. Ms. Narang has previously served as an independent director of AU Small Finance Bank. She also played a pivotal role in promoting India on the global stage through initiatives like the Experience India Society. Today we are privileged to have Ms. Jyoti Narang with us. Her insights on leadership, sustainability and strategic growth are sure to inspire us all. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jyoti Narang to the stage.
Preeta Singh. Preeta Singh is a seasoned leader with a diverse background in the arts, communications and advertising sectors. With a foundation in psychology from Delhi University, she honed expertise as executive director at Ogilvy and Mather for 21 years. She was an integral part of Ogilvy's growth from a boutique agency to becoming India's largest advertising company. For the past 6 years, Ms. Preeta is a commercial director at Listen Communications Limited, which is working towards campaigning for the needs and rights of the world's 1 billion vulnerable and disadvantaged children. Currently, Ms. Preeta is also the president of Teamwork Arts, where she has played a pivotal role in leading the Jaipur Literature Festival over the past decade to become the most valuable literature festival brand. Preeta Singh exemplifies a dynamic and visionary leader, adept at bridging artistic innovation with strategic business acumen. Let's light up the room with applause for Ms. Preeta.
Thank you, AV team. Over to you, Ishani.
Thank you. So a very cheerful, vibrant, and a beautiful morning to all the ladies. Thank you, Sarita, my Musi. You have already lit the spark with your electrifying welcome, and I'll make sure I'll carry the flame. मैं अकेली दुनिया बदल नहीं सकती, लेकिन पानी में पत्थर मारकर तरंग जरूर पैदा कर सकती हूँ. So with me, sitting the 2 women, Jyoti Narang ji and Preeta Singh ji, whose waves, tarange, of their passion and work have impacted the globe, who are shining beacon of empowerment, known for their invincible leadership, who have broken the barriers, who have paved the way for the others, and above all, they are the master weavers of Indian culture and heritage. I feel so proud and honored sitting next to you 2 accomplished ladies. I'll be moderating the session with alternate throwing the questions onto you. Over to you, Jyoti Narang ji. You are currently the chairperson of Heidelberg Cement, former Chief Operating Officer of Taj Hotels, Resorts and Palaces, independent director at AU Bank, and then partner at Wayfair Venture, and at board of many companies. If I have to type the keywords and a kind of a personality of a Google, so what would it be? Tourism, hospitality, cement, and then bank, whatnot. So you basically personify the rainbow of leadership, kaleidoscope, of leadership hues. You have a vast experience of working across functions, geographies, and different consumer segments. So what are some of the leadership skills you think that you are born with, or the one which you have really developed as for...
Okay, I don't think you're born with any leadership skills. I think you develop leaderships along the way. I think it depends on, you know, which school you went to, which college you went to, the friends you make along the way, the work environment that you have, the networks that you build, the parties that you go to, the people that you meet. So I think leadership skills get developed along the way. If you're asking me which are the skills that I think that helped me deal with a multitude of industries, I think the first one is a curious mind.
Wow.
I think you need to constantly keep asking questions, keep learning, even if it's not relevant to your life. I mean, 5 years ago, generative AI wasn't relevant to our lives, right? But you still went for sessions, you still went for things. Cybersecurity was not so important a decade ago. It's becoming increasingly important. So the curious mind is, I think, what you need to have. I think the second trait that you need is an ability to adapt to different environments fairly quickly in this constantly changing world. You know, industries keep changing, the environment keeps changing. I think my adaptability came from the fact that I'm an army brat and therefore changed many schools. You have to make new friends. So you learn how to adapt. And if you know how to adapt, it's easier to not only survive in a new environment, but to make a success in a new environment. Also, every new environment needs to be seen as a positive challenge, not as a negative thing. I think that's the second skill. And I think the last skill that you probably need is just positive energy that you bring to the table for everything.
Wow, that would have been a brilliant answer. Now my question to Preeta ji. Preeta ji is President, Teamworks, and she has been curating this world-class Jaipur Literature Festivals for all Indian and global audiences. And I think Jaipur Literature Festival is a brand in itself. We all know, yes? Achha, how many authors, writers, bloggers right now here, musicians, craftsmen in the room? We can just flash a light, yeah. And show that Indore also possesses rich art and literature lovers. Oh, there are nobody. There are, Preeta ji, there are.
What do we do if we have no art lovers, no writers, no storytellers?
See, your fascination towards literature started with launching India's first multidisciplinary art festival, Serendipity Arts Festival, that you launched probably in 2016 at Goa.
Yeah. I was there.
Oh.
Yes.
And then you have been successfully organizing Jaipur Literature Festival. So how does curating and bringing the diverse lineup of authors, writers, bloggers under one roof? मतलब पढ़ते सब है, probably talent or skills सब में होता है, but we don't think like कि चलो, let's bring all the authors and writers and bloggers under one roof and then, you know, depict the culture, Indian culture. So how does this idea is actually conceived in your mind?
I have to first make a public, you know, kind of declaration. All the things she has said about me are incorrect. So let me just let me get that right. I started off life in advertising, my first love. And what is advertising? What it did to me as a professional, as an individual, was it exposed me to innumerable industries, ideas, concepts, which we then had to communicate and, you know, get to people. And that's, I think, in my journey, my genesis of really getting into, and today I can tackle, as Jyoti was saying, be curious, I can tackle any subject, any. So when people came to me and said, hey, can you, Sunil Munjal of the Munjal Foundation said, I want to create a space for young people in India who have artistic outlet, you know, I want a space which is good for them. So we sat down and I got a team of 4 or 5 people, we sat down, we ideated, and we cracked it. So coming back to, you know, is it impossible? No, you set your sights on something. If you're passionate about it, you feed enough, you know, information into yourself, become knowledgeable, you can create anything. So it's not that I have done it. I did it I led it, but I had a team of experts, you know, Shubham Mudgals, I mean, people who are experts in their respective fields, brought them together, got them to then work with me to create this space. Today, Serendipity is an extremely successful multidisciplinary art. Everybody should go to it in Goa in December. The Jaipur Lit Fest was also another happy stance. It is not, I have not curated it. Namita Gokhale and William Dalrymple, two accomplished writers, curate it. I am the person who actually led the business end of it. How do you grow it? How do you connect it? Today we have 400 million people who connect with the festival virtually and in person. So how do you manage? And that training, that knowledge, that experience came from my advertising career. So it's not impossible, like, you know, some earlier speakers were saying, you press the refresh button, there are 1 million opportunities. You just have to get in there and you can do it. So to answer your question, yes, I am whatever, these labels don't matter, president, CEO, whatever. What matters really is, what matters really is what do you wish to do? And then with fear in your heart, but with great joy because you're going to land on your feet, just do it.
And how firmly you believe that literature really shapes the culture of our country?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, which one of us in this room would be here if we hadn't read? Or listened to stories at our grandmother's, lap or our mother's lap or whoever. It is story listening, story telling that it gets us, I believe, anywhere in life. I'm telling you a story right now about my life or my little achievements. So it is to me the most powerful tool or the most powerful thing in society. It holds up a mirror to you and it also motivates you. I mean, you see dystopian writing and stuff. I remember reading Animal Farm when? And it's come true in some manner. So you have to sit down and read. Like people say, I'm listening to a podcast, tech has enabled. Yes, please do all that, but no better joy than reading a book.
Great. Over to you, Jyoti ji. You have been also promoting Indian tourism and Indian culture, and let me tell you that she was a co-creator of Incredible India campaign. Isn't it exciting that we are with the person who has created this Incredible India campaign? So while, all the people, they were more fascinated traveling abroad and, vacating abroad, leaving India. So what potential did you saw that Indian tourism has that got its potential to have its global presence?
I think I worked in an era where we had, and this is nothing to do with domestic tourism, we probably had less than 2 to 3 million foreign tourists who came to India. And it was, we needed the foreign exchange, everybody thought we had the potential. I think the discussion that was happening was, how do we get these tourists to come? So there are many diverse opinions. And there's a gentleman called Mr. Vicky Oberoi who ran the Oberoi chain, said, Jyoti, you're wasting your time unless we get visas on arrival. Don't waste your time doing anything. I'm not giving you any money. Finally, all the hotel companies gave money and we formed a society that was going to market India. The challenge was, what do we market and how do we market this? So I think the idea germinated that we needed to do a film, which was called Experience, then became Incredible India. And the content of the film was not to be the beggars that you saw in New York Times or Mother Teresa that you saw, but what did India have to offer? And it wasn't only about India's culture and heritage. We figured there was a younger generation, there were people from the US who didn't come, because that's all that we offered, right, was our temples. So effectively, the film was a little more than temples. It was about adventure tourism, it was about spas at a higher level, it was about the palaces that the Oberoi did, and this whole thing was a teamwork, and my co-founder was a lady called Ragini Chopra, who was head of marketing for the Oberoi. One of the biggest challenges we faced was we needed the money to broadcast the film, which means we needed government participation. To get that film cleared by government was an incredible challenge. Everybody wanted north, south, west, east, every part of India in the film. The music was a challenge because, which part of India do you show the music? Well, it finally got cleared. I'm not sure how much it did to help. It changed India's image because the Indian government put a lot of money behind it. But I think what we didn't do at that time, despite our asking, was India didn't appoint a public relations agency. We needed both together. We needed all kinds of communication. So we are now up to 9 million tourists. The film has probably played a small part in it and was the birth of the idea. But I think much more needs to be
I have to add to this. The film was done by Ogilvy, with the campaign, we won the mandate for that. Mrs. Rati Jha and I remember Amitabh Kant were our clients, and that's how I met them the first time. I was part of the team, and there was so much talk and discussion on what Jyoti said, what is the India you want to project? And there was, like mara-mari in the agency, one had this view, one had, and finally Piyush Pandey, Ranjan, all of us, we sat down, and the rest, as they say, is history. But it's been through so many bad adaptations that I worry.
Yeah, in fact, the first film was done by a foreign creative agency, and everybody said, you're mad. And I said, you need to see India through not the eyes of an India, but somebody who lives outside India. They see charm in a rickshaw tour in Chandni Chowk. I don't see that charm. So if you see the first version of the film, it was actually not done by an Indian creative team. It was done by a UK-based creative team.
That's great. Now I'm taking a U-turn from Indian culture and heritage. I saw in one of your videos, Preeta ji, that you, I really saw your videos on YouTube before moderating you.
I wonder what's out.
And the video was, it was about women empowerment, and it was podcasted on 8th March. I could remember the date as well. And in one of those your videos, you said that your initial days of career was in the advertising agency. And then you said in that video that advertising was a men's club at that point of time when you began your career. And after a while in that video, you said that I never worked like I'm a woman. I simply worked. So do you think that there are still some work or there are not any work that could be absolutely attributed to man or absolutely attributed to woman? Do you believe that?
Well, I have to tell you, when I got into advertising, which was, I thought, going to be a cakewalk, wow, all those lovely images of men and women and all. It was the worst job because you had to work so hard, and I used to work 14 hours, 16 hours a day and come back with very little to show for it. But the exhilaration of creating something. So when she says the man's world, it was. There were 80% only men. There were just few women hanging around here and there. And I said, why? And most of the women were in the creative end of the business. They were writers, they were creators. And I was what they called, can you imagine, a suit. That means you had to wear a business suit to go out and get business. I learned to wear a sari instead. And that's my first time I've learned to wear a sari. I went home and told my mother, I said, Ma, I have to learn to wear a sari. She said, why? I thought you went to advertising where they show all these girls in very few clothes. I said, no, that's not it. You have to believe in it was an amazing journey because something even I thought was going to be relatively easy was a lot of hard work, was a very male-dominated at that time world. But I have to say, it was also a space that allowed you to, if you could prove yourself, it allowed you to move. So it wasn't that, I keep joking that there was a steel ceiling, and you drank the men under the table, you went out on shoots, and you went to, Shekhar Kapoor, you must know of him, and Feroz Gujral. We shot at like 4 in the morning for Digjam in the wilds of Uttarakhand. We had to go and stay in like literally a dhaba and not even a hotel. So it was great fun. So there's no problem. But I think you've got to be clear. It doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man. You just get on and do the work if you feel, passionate about it.
That's great. I'm having butterflies in my stomach when I see you, Jyoti ji, because I could imagine and visualize the majestic corridors of Taj and, the opulent cuisines. And whenever we women are at some position or designations, so relatives के phone जरूर आते हैं. Is it like, Jyoti ji, आपके पास किसी relative का phone आया है कि please allow me, please let me stay in Taj, मेरी booking कर दो at the lower tariffs?
Relative के तो नहीं आते थे, friends के जरूर आते थे. I had one secretary whose only job was to take those phones and handle those queries.
Sarita, how do you handle this? No.
I have to tell you, Jyoti and I were in college together. We were in the same hostel. A lot of my business deals were done thanks to Jyoti. I had to do a deal in London, and she introduced me to St. James Court in Taj, London. So, when you say calls come, of course they come. And I will make them till my dying day to Jyoti, even now.
जब फ्रेंड्स के कॉल आते हैं तुम ले लेते हो, जब रिश्तेदार के आते हैं हमेशा लेते नहीं हो.
सरिता ने तो इनॉग्रेशन ही नहीं किया था, आई थिंक, ना, because of the fear that people will call you. Jokes apart.
और मेरे को अभी भी फोन आते हैं 10 साल के बाद.
So the Indian and the relatives and the cohesion and the love and admiration. And one thing I would like to ask, what role do you see technology playing in enhancing, the guest experiences? Can you think that technology can replace human empathy while in the hospital industry?
I don't think technology can replace human empathy. And I think increasingly, this was the traditional use of technology in the hospitality business, which meant how do you elevate guest experience? How do you make sure you know the name of the guy in the room service, you know his guests. But that's a very traditional way of looking. Today, technology in the service industry is used increasingly to actually make the operations more efficient. It's the back of the house technology, what is happening. It's the distribution reach that technology is giving you. And perhaps the most important use of technology today is how do you market to the individual needs of the customer?
Yes.
That's why generative AI is being used. When you actually, I think, ask, make my trip, right, for something. And for you, it's just a question. But at the back end, they have everything to do with your stereotype, your understanding, and the options that are given to you are the reflection of what technology is doing. So technology is not about elevating guest service anymore. Guest service today actually means recognizing the needs of the individual, and how do you deliver that even before he comes to you, which means at the time that he makes the inquiry, and that's where technology is being used today.
Great. Now I'm halting at technology because I'm asking Preeta ji you a question on technology. Ab generative AI ki baat you have done this. So do you think that ChatGPT, generative AI, because of that, there would be dearth of the authors, writers, and creative thinkers?
Not at all. I think whether it's ChatGPT, which is a product, but if you look at generative AI and other what people are looking at in the future, it's only going to enhance and help you write and imagine better. I don't think it'll replace the human mind. It'll help us. Even today, I'm sure all of us in this room, whether it's through our smartphones or even if you look for a specific input, I find that it just makes life that much easier. But does it replace my original thought or what I want to, put out? No. You want to do we do about 150 press releases for an average festival or whatever. We just do them that much faster, but without human editing and human, output, it doesn't leave the office or doesn't hit the media and so. So I don't think it's going to replace, it's going to enhance.
Yeah, that's great. Taj is always, the dream come true for the middle class people. What's your take on rise of this boutique hotels, Oyo rooms, the things, the alternate accommodations for these people?
I think the seed for Oyo or the seed for small, seed for budget didn't come from the hotel business. It perhaps started with the airline business, where you had this economy, premium economy, super, whatever, first class. And then, at least in India, it came from a gentleman called C.K. Prahlad. I don't know if any of you have read his book, which is called The Bottom of the Pyramid. But his theory was that the poor people in India actually pay much more for everything. They get higher interest rates, they buy smaller sachets. So the business premise was that you can actually make money out of the poor person. And there is Taj now as a brand called Ginger. That was born out of this theory that the Taj wanted to provide something for the middle class traveler. The target for us was 500 rupees. We never made it at 500, but we did launch at 1,000 rupees for a clean air-conditioned room. It's no longer 1,000 rupees, but it's 60 hotels. So I think it's always been the desire to create something for the upwardly mobile middle-class Indian. It makes business sense. That's where the money is. That's where the bulk of the travel is going to be. That is what Oyo addressed. But Oyo addressed it in what I call the aggregator fashion. Oyo is what I call the Uber of India. They took everything that was available, put a flag on it, gave them a distribution reach, gave them brand standards. That's how Oyo was born, and it's been an incredibly success story to start with. You also mentioned boutique hotels. Boutique hotels are the rise of the individualism now prevalent even in India. most Indians now don't want a cookie cutter experience. For even the larger chains, and the first evidence of what we call a boutique hotel was the W Hotel chain launched globally. Now we have many Indian versions of the boutique hotel. But the boutique hotel is here to stay. It's expensive to run. It's not easy to make money. But it will cater to what I call the individual needs of the Indian traveler.
Yeah. So my last question to you, Preeta ji, and after that we'll have a light session on a rapid fire, a quick rapid fire. I want to know about you being a commercial director at Listen Communications, and this organization, it listens to the voices of underprivileged children. So tell us about Listen Communications.
Listen is a global campaign that is yet to be launched. It was supposed to be launched before COVID. Sadly, COVID happened. It's the brainchild of a gentleman called Tony Hollingsworth. He's a Britisher based out of the UK, who way back he uses the power of music and the arts to bring focus on a cause and action. So he did a lot of work when Mr. Mandela was for the anti-apartheid movement. He did the series of tribute concerts with leading musicians of the world, and when the Berlin Wall came down and so on and so forth. So Tony decided that before he kind of hangs up his boots, he wants to do a global program, which is a 10-year, it's got a 10-year vision, and to help us as adults and people in the world listen to children. Because there are about 1.2 billion extremely disadvantaged children, and they're not only in developing countries, they're in developed countries as well. So this program is a very elaborate, you can go onto the website, it's an elaborate program which has been thought out. There's a for-profit end and there's a not-for-profit end. So basically what you do is you raise awareness, listen to children, celebrities go and talk to them, you listen to them, and then they have identified through a system NGOs that are working with children's programs where the issues that they work with are scalable and replicable. So what you can do is you learn from this and then you make it. What happened in sub-Saharan Africa could very well be implemented in USA and so on and so forth. So it's a brilliant program. I'm helping them with India. India is a key market, and we hope to launch it next year.
I think we should give a big round of applause. जिनको कोई नहीं सुनता, उनको जिन बच्चों को कोई नहीं सुनता, उनको हम सुनते हैं.
And by the way, हमारे बच्चे नहीं हैं, we're both single. So I loved Sangeeta and Nina when they talked about being professional women and managing mothers-in-law and children. We've managed nothing but ourselves. But let me tell you, and I want to share this because there's so many women here, what you do with your life, whether you marry or you don't, you stay married or divorced or whatever, that's an individual, destiny and your choice. But I would have not been sitting here today with Jyoti next to me if it wasn't my, what I call sisterhood. My friends, both female and male, are my universe. And it is them who give you the support to get here. So, salam to all the mothers-in-law and the bachas and all. My life is, and I have 6 dogs. So thank you.
Okay, that's great. We're done with the serious session now. Let's move on to some light-hearted session. And allow me ask to, it's a rapid-fire session. I need to extract more from you. So first I'll begin the rapid fire with Jyoti ji. What's the most innovative, appreciated thing you have implemented at Taj in your tenure?
I think the Taj Safari is the wildlife adventure experience.
Oh, okay. One word to describe your leadership style?
A tyrant. Well, that's what I've been told.
If you're hosting a dinner party for Preeta ji at Taj, so seeing to her persona, what's on the menu?
Indian chatpata.
Cementing relationships or banking success or career, which is harder?
Cementing relationships.
What's one hospitality myth you would like to bust?
That it's a glamorous job. Definitely isn't.
If enhancing customer experience is a cocktail, what were the ingredients you would add?
I think I would add fun, laughter, and a sense of individuality and passion.
Give a big round of applause. I'm done with the rapid fire. Very nice. Now this one's going to be harder for you, Preeta ji.
Why?
Do you have any secret to make literature appealing to non-bookworms?
Well, bring them to Jaipur, to the Lit Fest. They'll become converts. You just breathe the air.
What's the craziest thing that has happened backstage, JLF, Jaipur Literature
Well,
Festival?
we've got William on stage announced, and we couldn't find him. We didn't know where he was. Later on, when we found, we had to, of course, apologize, reschedule. When we asked him where he was, he said, just went out. End of story.
If you could invite one historical figure at JLF, who would it be and why? Historical figure.
Recreate. Okay. I would love Mahatma Gandhi to be there.
Oh,
In
and
this-
why?
Well, in this most horrific world that we live with, with hatred and war and senseless war, I think he would be brilliant.
Since you are the idea igniter, creative thinker, so what's the most creative excuse you have listened for missing a deadline?
I overslept.
Okay, and one last, though it's not funny, but we really want to know, tell us some books and podcasts that we must listen to for our personal and professional growth.
Well, there are many, but I think for me, my favorite is Little Prince. I read it, reread it very often. I think if you really want, if you like stories and you like history, I've been following William and Anita's new podcast called The Empire. Listen to it, it's very interesting. And I just recently went to Europe, and it's amazing how much of my travel got contextualized because I'd been listening to the podcast. So it just helps. But there are many, many. Every day I discover, I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I'm listening to 2 podcasts. There is today, if you go to Spotify, you can listen to just about anything. You want to understand the Gita, you've got something. There is nothing that you can't hear today. And you, by the way, we women multitask, so you can keep hearing while you're doing whatever else you're doing. It still works. So.
Thank
Sangeeta
you so
said she
much.
couldn't multitask. We should ask Sangeeta
I
what she
love
meant later.
multitasking.
Thank you so much. I'm done with my session with both of you. Thank you so much. I completely enjoyed, and I'm sure my audiences have also enjoyed. Over to you, Sarita.
Wow, what an insightful session. Thank you to our amazing speakers for sharing their incredible experience and insights with us today. ज्योति जी, आपके लिए 2 लाइन लिखी है मैंने. कस्टमर को खुश करना इनका मिशन है. हॉस्पिटैलिटी से इनका कमाल का ट्रांजिशन है. ताज से लेकर बैंकिंग तक का सफ़र किया और आज हमारे कॉन्क्लेव को अपनी लीडरशिप का विजन दिया. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ज्योति जी. आपने तो हमारे इवेंट को एक रॉयल टच दे दिया. ताज की कहानी यहाँ भी लिख दी आपने. एंड प्रीता जी, आपके लिए जयपुर का स्टेज हो या एडवर्टाइजिंग का मेला, प्रीता जी हर जगह चमकती है. आपका रंग सब पर फैला. हमारा इवेंट का दिया इतना बड़ा बूस्ट. शुक्रिया प्रीता जी, आप है ट्रूली द मोस्ट. तो प्रीता जी, आपके दिल से शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद. आपने हमारे IMA कॉन्क्लेव को एक लिटरली ब्लॉकबस्टर बना दिया. A big thanks to Miss Ishani Maheshwari, IMA Women Conclave committee member, for moderating this session so beautifully. ईशानी, आपकी एनर्जी और अंदाज ने हमें इस सेशन से जुदा ही नहीं होने दिया, बिल्कुल जैसे एक अच्छी मूवी का क्लाइमैक्स. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to our main sponsor, Sunil Agrawal and Associates, for making this conclave possible. आपका सहयोग इस पूरे आयोजन की नींव है. And of course, a big shout out to Pushp Masala, our gift sponsor, क्योंकि क्या इवेंट और क्या खाना दोनों मसाले के बिना अधूरे हैं. So thank you everyone.